everyone and welcome back to All About SteF1 with me, Steph. I'm so excited to be back in front of the camera just talking to you all, and as you can tell by the title of this video, we're going to be talking Formula E today. So I'm not all about SteF1, I'm going to be all about SteFE today, so join us and I hope you enjoy the video. So Season 7 of Formula E came to a head yesterday with Nick de Vries taking the World Drivers' Championship and Mercedes-Benz EQ taking the World Constructors' Championship. Over the course of this season, we have had 15 races in 8 different locations on 9 different circuit layouts. We have had 11 winners. We've had 20 podium sitters. This season has been chaotic and it's been fantastic. So we're going to break it down and I'm going to talk about some of my best bits, some of my highlights, some pointers. We're going to talk about all of them in the video, and then I'm going to do my best bits, best driver of the season, best team of the season, all of the little best things right at the end. So yes, stick around. Honestly, this has been probably the most unpredictable season of Formula E. There have been so many drivers who have put in such brilliant performances over the course of this year that it's really difficult to pick which one is the standout driver. Props to Nick, he definitely deserved to win. He won the first race of the season, took home 2 wins over the course of the whole season, so he is definitely a very, very worthy winner, but a lot of them would also have been worthy winners, so congratulations to Nick and commiserations to everyone who was so close but missed out, and I'm sure we'll get into talking to them about them. Let's start by talking about the rookies, because we had 4 rookies, but I'm not really going to include Joel Eriksson in this. I'm just going to talk about Jake Dennis, Norman Nato and Nick Cassidy, because the 3 rookies I think had stellar years, stellar seasons within Formula E this year. Jake Dennis was in title contention until the very last moment. He also picked up 2 wins, which is incredible for a rookie season, and he ended up finishing 3rd in the championship. The way he kind of jumped into that car and learned all about lifting and coasting and regeneration and adapted to electric single-seater racing I think was fantastic, and he really took to it, and that's why he would have been a very worthy winner should he have won the championship, but unfortunately he didn't, and I still think it was a really, really strong season. If this is what he can do in his first season, then I definitely think he has a potential to go all the way in future seasons if luck is on his side. Norman Nato, he picked up 1 win and ended up finishing 18th, which is so insane because you would never think that a driver who finished in 18th would have actually picked up a race victory throughout a season, but he did, and I was really, really happy for him. He performed really well as well. Venturi was just kind of on the up, and I think the teammate partnership of Nato and Mortara was absolutely fantastic, and Nato really kind of came into his own towards the end of the season, which is why I think that next year will be much stronger for him, and the only way is up. Nick Cassidy did not pick up any wins, but he did pick up 2 second places and ended up 15th in the championship. He had a lot to live up to because he was filling the boots of Sam Bird in that Envision Virgin car, and I think he did a really good job. I was really impressed with what he was capable of with those podium positions. I think he did bring out some stellar performances, and just on the whole, I think all 3 of the rookies genuinely took to Formula E really, really well and are definitely going to go on to do some really, really great things in the future. Now, let's talk about the calendar, because I have something to say on this, and again, I will say that what Formula E and the team and crew behind them managed to do in getting us to 8 different locations was absolutely fantastic. For me, I just personally don't love double headers. I think there are so many amazing cities that I want to go and see, and I'd love to see Formula E adapt to those different locations. So I don't love double headers, and we had seven double headers this year. So that was a little bit of a downside for me, but I do appreciate that that was as a result of COVID, and Formula E just couldn't go to every single city in the world due to the world's issues. Next year, instead of having 7 double headers, we will only be having 4, which means we get to go to a lot more cities, which I'm really, really looking forward to. So thank you, Formula E, for switching it up a little bit. I'm so excited for the calendar next year. Formula E is off to South Korea, Cape Town, Vancouver, so many interesting places that I'm really, really looking forward to going to. So I'm very excited. And the final point in the calendar situation, I guess, is to compare street tracks versus permanent tracks, because for 4 of the 15 races this year, Formula E actually raced on permanent tracks in Valencia and in Puebla in Mexico. They were very interesting races, and it was nice to see how Formula E adapted to that. Previously, they have raced at Circuit Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico, the the circuit that Formula 1 races at in Mexico. And so they have done a permanent track before, but I think this year really emphasised the differences between street circuits and permanent tracks. And I, for one, much prefer Formula E to be on street tracks. I think that is where Formula E's expertise lies. It's in Formula E's DNA to race in different cities all over the world on the streets of those cities, right in the innermost parts of it. And I think that is one of my favourite parts of Formula E, because it just brings you so close to so many different cities, so many different cultures. What I really loved about Rome this year was just how close we were to so many historical buildings, and it gave me a lot of Baku vibes, because I love when Formula 1 goes to Baku because it's so out of place, especially through the castle section, and that's kind of how I was feeling when Formula E was in Rome, and that's how I love feeling when I see Formula E going to different circuits or street circuits around the world and racing in these different environments. So all in all, I do prefer the street circuits, but I definitely would not complain at the odd permanent track, because the races in Puebla and Valencia were both really exciting, even though we had those issues in Valencia, but we're not going to talk about them right now. Moving on to one of my biggest issues, I guess, with the season, but not a massive beef. And I'm going to talk about the qualifying format, because there have been a lot of raised points around qualifying and how it is affecting the championship right now, and I definitely think it needs to be addressed. I, for one, love the qualifying format. I've always loved it. I think it's really interesting. The group stages and then going into the Super Bowl shootout, it's different. We don't see it in any other motorsport, and that's what I really, really like about it. Regardless of how much I like this format, I do feel like it's not really working for the Formula E Championship anymore, and it is undermining the performances of the top teams and those in Group 1 and Group 2, who are always then disadvantaged during qualifying when they have to go out first or second, and they don't really get that opportunity to have the track evolution and the best track quality. I don't want it to take a turn to Formula 1 and have the Q1, Q2, Q3 format, because I love the Super Bowl shootout and I'd love to keep that part of it if we could. I don't know if it's a possibility to potentially take the practice times and then have the top guys in practice go out last in qualifying and the bottom guys in practice end up going first. I don't know if that's a fair way to work it out, but fairness, I think, is definitely something that Formula E needs to take a look at. And I think at the minute, the guys at the front in the best cars that are doing the best jobs are consistently being disadvantaged, and I don't want that to happen from qualifying forever. So I'd love if we could take a little look at the qualifying system for next year, because even though I love it, I think it definitely needs updating and advancing. Penalties. This is an interesting one, because I have a very positive view on penalties in Formula E and also a very negative view. So on the positive side, penalties are decided so quickly in Formula E, and I love it. Even just looking back to the final race, when Lucas di Grassi and Antonio Felix da Costa had that contact, and Lucas was very obviously in the wrong for putting Antonio in the wall, the stewards were like, yep, drive-through penalty, go. That means that there is no faffing about in the stewards' room. They see that something that is very cut and dry, and they're able to make a decision on it, which is something we don't really get in Formula 1. We get, will be investigated after the session or after the race. And I like the fact that the stewards just automatically, bam, that's your punishment. On the other hand, I don't like the lack of transparency that we have within Formula E. So taking it back to Puebla, when Pascal Wehrlein was disqualified immediately after crossing the line for technical infringement, I think it was for not declaring his tyres at the beginning of the race. We heard nothing about that throughout the race, and as fans, that kind of isolates us, because we don't understand why the driver who's just won the race on merit is no longer in P1. If you do break those regulations, it results in a disqualification, but I would just like, as a fan personally, to have much more transparency so I know exactly why these things are occurring. And maybe the FIA and Formula E need to both take a look at the rule book and decide if some of these penalties are a little bit too severe, because that one felt like a very, very cruel punishment. Okay, so we've reached the little awards show ceremony that's going to happen at the end of the race, which I'm super excited for, and it was honestly so difficult to figure out who I was going to choose for certain categories, but I've finally done it. Let's start off with the team of the season, and I'm going to go with Venturi, And it's because they have made such strides this season. I really, really like the pairing of Nato and Mortara, like I said earlier. They managed to make it from 10th in Season 6 to 7th in Season 7. So I think that's a really impressive move forward. I love Susie Wolf. I think she's doing a great job heading up that team. There are so many females within that garage as well. I just love the platform that they're giving, and I love the work that they're doing. So Venturi, I honestly think have done a fantastic job this year to turn things around, and I'm really, really happy for them. Driver of the season. Okay, so I've got 2 for this, but that's fine, I think, because there are 25 drivers on the grid. So me picking 2, I think, is okay. So Jake Dennis is my obvious driver of the season. Coming in as a rookie, having scored 2 race victories and being in contention for the championship, I think he drove absolutely fantastically. BMW as a team, unfortunately, are departing the sport, but for him to have done what he did with that team, I think is really, really successful. I'm really, really happy for the both of them. I just keep saying that I'm really happy for everyone, and it is because I just am. Everyone did such a fantastic job this year, and I'm so happy for everyone. My other driver of the season is someone I don't think would be anyone's driver of the season. I don't know. We'll see. It might be a very unpopular opinion, but it is Rene Rast. And yes, it's strange because in comparison, his teammate did get 2 victories, his teammate Lucas Di Grassi, and Rene didn't get any victories, but he scored points in 10 out of the 15 races, which I think is probably the biggest number of races that somebody has scored points in over the course of the season. So I just think that his consistency has been really, really top this season. He has had so many great races where he's come from the back 2 points. London, the first race, was a really, really good example. I think he started P13 and ended up P6. The consistency has just been there, and I think in Formula E you really need to have the consistency in order to go far. I do hope that he gets picked up by somebody on the grid. Obviously, we know that Audi is leaving the sport, so I do hope that he'll be able to find another seat because I think he's a great driver in Formula E. He's very creative, he's making the moves, and I'd love to see what more he can do. Best race, and it's obviously Monaco. You guys know that I have been hyping up the Formula E race from Monaco since Monaco. So many lead changes, so many moves for the victory, so many great overtaking moves on a circuit where it's known that it's so difficult to overtake. Formula E often gets a lot of slack for being bumper cars and having cars crash into each other and still be able to race because the chassis is quite sturdy. But Monaco was not like this at all. They were all genuine moves for the victory. Robin Freins, Mitch Evans, Antonio Felix da Costa. I know there was someone else in that battle as well. But all of those drivers who were making moves on each other left, right and centre around Monaco, it was genuinely fantastic to see. Honestly, I could go on about Monaco for ages, but I'm not going to. I did do a whole video on this if you want to watch it, so up there. Biggest disappointment, this has to be Ollie Rowland, and I think it's because he started the season so strong, and in comparison to his teammate Seb Buemi, he has actually done a really good job. He finished much higher than Seb in the championship, but with his quality performances and his race pace, I genuinely thought he was on for better performances at some races. I don't know why I'm a little bit let down. I thought he'd be a little bit higher than he was from the performances that I was seeing from him at the beginning of the season, and I think it just tailored off a little bit. He could definitely be in a better car, and maybe then we'll be able to see exactly what he's capable of, because I do think that that boy has a lot of raw pace. The saddest moment of the season, this was when I found out that Audi was leaving. When I was watching all of the seasons of Formula E, Audi was just this big constant. They've won championships. They won Driver Championship with Lucas Di Grassi and also Team Championship with Lucas Di Grassi and Daniel Abd. I loved that team so much. I thought Alan McNish was doing a great job as team principal, and I just really liked them. They were one of my favourite teams, and they have been so important and so integral to the growth of Formula E throughout these 7 seasons that it's been a part of it. I sounded really American then, part of it. And finally, my favourite moment of the whole season. Well, you guys know I'm a big Nick De Vries fan, so watching him win the title was fantastic and so good to see. But It's not my favourite moment of the season. It was actually in London when Alex Lynn took his victory, because we still got to see Nick on the podium. Nick in P2 and Mitch Evans was in P3, and I am also a big Mitch Evans fan. Still, it was honestly such an amazing experience as well, because we were right underneath the podium when it was happening, so just the vibe was so good. Definitely my favourite moment of the season. Oh, I just loved it. I would want to go back and do it all over again. Okay, we've reached the end of this video. I would love to hear in the comments down below who you guys think was the driver of the season and who you guys think was the team of the season as well. So let me know all of that down in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to me if you haven't already. I'm normally all about SteFE1, but today I was all about SteFE. So I hope you enjoyed the Formula E content, but we will be reverting back to Formula 1 content because the Belgian Grand Prix is coming up real soon and the summer break is going to be over. So stick around if you want some more Formula 1 content and Formula E content in the future. And I'm going to stop waffling now and say I will see you in the next one. Bye!